So I started with the first Wicked Edge that I got, which was what they called back then a Pro Pack 2, which was a Wicked Edge 120 with a lot of stones in it that made it a professional pack, because you went from very coarse stones to very fine stones, and they had anything that Wicked Edge offered, I had to have. I wanted to use it, I wanted to master it, and I did. But what we started with back in 2015 and 2016 was the Wicked Edge Standard Vise. And that Standard Vise, we called that back, was Generation 2. The first generation for Wicked Edge, somehow generations got started. I don't know if Wicked Edge intended to produce a product in generations, but it seems that it came that way. The first generation, I saw a sharpener once, and it was plastic. And then Generation 2 was with the Wicked Edge 100 and then the 120. And that culminated with the Wicked Edge 130, which was the beginning of Generation 3. And then the Gen 3 Pro was the top of the line of Generation 3 until Wicked Edge discontinued the 100 series, the 120, the 130s, and started with the dual cam vise and the Generation 4. All these things came together a couple years ago, and I said, this is a dilemma, a paradox. I said, the problem is that the Wicked Edge 100s that were produced in 2015 are still being used with the same stones that these guys bought these Pro Pack 1 kits back in 2015. They're still using them. And Wicked Edge has moved on to Generation 3, outlived it, and then went to Generation 4 already. Each of these generations, there were hardware changes made to the Wicked Edge to deal with that position, that clamping issue that I spoke of, for fixed position guided sharpening. Wicked Edge has looked to improve their design based on the feedback from people like me who send Clay messages all the time. Why can't you do this, and why isn't it like this? And that all started back at the onset with the forums, with the exchange, and the products got better, and there was a direct relationship between what I shared that I would have liked to see improvements and what other people shared improvements they wanted to see. And we saw those improvements, and that's why Wicked Edge has a Generation 1 and a Generation 2 and 3, and now we're to the Generation 4, because the designs have improved and the parts and the components have improved. So now we have the Gen 4 Pro, but we still have all the old stuff that was built so well and machined so well that if you learned how to use the Generation 1 and the Generation 2, then you mastered the guided sharpening, you understood the technique, you got it. Then the more expensive, newer generation, the newer generations as they came out got easier to use. And yes, some of them were more expensive and some of them were less expensive. Wicked Edge tried to keep the price point so that it was manageable. And they usually had the budget, the medium, and the top of the line in all their generations. They offered that variety. Okay, so We got the Gen 4 Pro. We got all these upgrades. We got the Wicked Edge 100s that were produced back in 2012 and 2013 and 14 and 15 that people are still using. And we got the Generation 3 that somewhere is in between. That was the top of the line when it came out. And all this stuff just keeps on working. And now those are discontinued and we're all freaking out. What are we going to do? And I say, looks like an opportunity. An opportunity to bring all of the Wicked Edge together because they're all the same. They're all fixed position, guided angle sharpening systems. The same system, just the model year changed. It's not a 55 Chevy anymore. Now it's a 2026 Chevy. It's changed. The 55 Chevy did not do what the 2026 does, and that doesn't make the Chevy bad. Because the Chevy changed over the years. Wicked Edge changed over the years. Yes, the early standard vice models were tough to master. They were tough to sharpen. A full, flat, grind, distally tapered knife. Because there was no flex. That was a challenge. And Wicked Edge dealt with that in Generation 2 with the standard vise, and then to Generation 3 with the Wicked Edge 130 vise. It became split. In the generations, they made version changes over the years. A generation lasted for some years, and there were changes, subtle changes that we caught, and some of them were real good improvements. And then when they got as far as they could get Wicked Edge in a generation, then they introduced the new generation, where they made a drastic change. So that's why we have Wicked Edge Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4. They changed in generations as they improved within that series. So now we're at Generation 4. The Gen 1s are still out there. The Gen 2s are still out there. And I was making little parts and things that I used with my friends, that we used, Wicked Edge users, to help make it easier for us to use the old standard vise Generation 2 before the Wicked Edge 130 came out. And then we did some changes and we learned some things, and we wanted some extra support. We used to put a ram component to clamp the knife offset and different things, and I played with different things. And this is where the Expert Corner Group came from. I started accumulating the different Wicked Edge models so I could prototype and fit and test and change and play with the different generations and put them together and bring it all together so that you could use a 2012, 2013 Wicked Edge and bring it into 2026. There are components. There are people who understand how to use it and can help you with your old models and blend it with the new model. This is my expertise, is using Wicked Edge precision guided systems, a fixed position guided sharpener. In particular, I chose Wicked Edge because it clamps the knife vertically, and then you work both sides of the knife, one side then the other, alternatingly, simultaneously. To me, it just was a more logical and practical and efficient way of doing it in thought. I had the manual dexterity, so it wasn't hard for me to get it. And that's important. I'm going to stop here because I want to go to another video and talk about get it.